Okay, thanks, Jim. Any other changes or additions? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Done. Okay. As we get ready to enter into the world of special use permit, I would like to take a minute to explain to everyone the process that we'll undertake so that everyone will feel comfortable with the process as it unfolds. The Board of Adjustments is a quasi-judicial board. Consequently, everyone who wishes to speak at tonight's hearing must be sworn in before speaking. The second important aspect of being a quasi-judicial board is that we may only consider substantial and material evidence, facts, in our decision-making process. We cannot accept hearsay, opinions, or emotions. The first step in the hearing process is for the application for the special use permit to be presented to the board by the city staff, and there will be a period provided for public comment about the application. Following the public comment period, the board will begin to solicit facts concerning 6 requirements specified by law. After each of the 6 requirements, there will be a public comment period where evidence will be presented to the board. After all 6 items have been presented, evidence heard, and closing comments made, the board will deliberate and vote on each of the requirements one at a time. Following the voting, the board will then vote whether or not to approve or deny the application. Anyone who would like to speak to the board tonight should be sworn in, and I'll ask you to come to the podium. Raise your hand, right hand. Okay. Do you swear that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Okay. The new business to be considered this evening is a request for a special use permit for a 60-unit multi. Is that correct, Brad? You have 60?
Yes, 60.
Okay. A 60-unit multifamily residential development called Highland Village Apartments. The property is located at 2604 Trent Road and is further identified as Craven County Parcel 8-044-009. Brad, would you present this to the board?
Sure. As you mentioned, it's a 60-unit multifamily development located at just off of Trent Road and Camden Square Drive. The site is 6.47 acres. The project was reviewed at the city's Departmental Site Plan Review Committee on February 15, 2019. Staff found that the proposed project is consistent with the approved plans with no major changes. When completed, the development will have 9 one-bedroom apartments, 33 two-bedroom apartments, and 18 three-bedroom apartments, totaling 60 apartments in 2 buildings. According to Section 15-146 of the Land Use Ordinance, multifamily developments in C4 Commercial Zoning District must obtain a special use permit. Staff finds that the applicant has met all Land Use Ordinance requirements of Section 15-54 for a special use permit and therefore recommends approval of this request.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would invite the applicant to come forward and present the project in a little more detail as to what's being proposed and how you're going to go about it. So thank you much. Introduce yourself to us, please.
Sure. My name is Stephanie Norris. I am going to be one of the owners of the property. My mom will be the other owner of the property. We will also manage the property ourselves. We do these types of developments throughout eastern North Carolina. Wilmington is where we're from. Our property management company is located there, but we have properties in Richlands, Wilson, Fayetteville, Raleigh, many other smaller communities as well in North Carolina. And this is pretty much my parents' or my family's sole focus of development is affordable housing. We don't do market rate. We don't do large 200-unit complexes. We stick to this kind of sweet spot, if you will, of about 60 to 72 units. And our most recently completed property is in Wilson. It is a 60-unit senior property, so it's one building. All units are accessed interior to the building. So this is our focus. We're in it for the long haul. We'll be part of your community for the long haul, my mom and I. And it does involve the use of the tax credit, low-income housing tax credit, that's administered from HUD through to North Carolina and North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there so nobody is expecting, there's no, dark secrets, or I'm not pulling any punches with anybody. I want to be straight up that this is affordable housing for working families and for seniors as well. With that being said, it's going to be somewhat similar to the apartment community that's adjacent to you. In fact, the gentleman that owns and manages that property, it will be our general contractor. He's actually the one that brought me this opportunity, and he and I are partnering with his company on other properties in Wilmington and Sunset Beach. And that's Winfield Properties or Winfield Construction, if that name sounds familiar to you at all. So again, he's a part of your community, so is his staff, and part of it for the long haul. So that being said, the way that we feel like this property meets all the conditions of the special use permit questions that you have, and pardon me while I flip back and forth with glasses, haven't gotten used to readers yet. So you can see with these questions that we have to answer, hopefully my answers were fairly clear and not too redundant. Sometimes I feel like these questions are a bit redundant. I'm a civil engineer by training and education. I used to have an engineering firm, so I've presented before boards like you with special use permits before. So sometimes I feel that I try to find a way to be creative in answering them so you're not just hearing the same information over and over again. But for example, and if this is what you would like for me to do as well, just kind of go through the different questions and talk through them, or is that something you would intend to do?
We were going to go through them item by item, and so we can address any questions.
Oh, okay. Okay, well then I'll hold off on that and just stick to kind of a description of the property. Again, it's going to be 2 buildings, 3-story buildings. Because of the power line that runs through the property, we're having to maintain a 250-foot separation from the power line easement to the face of the closest building. So for that reason, although we're talking about 6.47 acres, there's really going to be about nearly 50% of the property that's going to remain kind of undisturbed or in some sort of natural state of open space. We will have a stormwater pond that will be incorporated into that open space. We will have a playground area that'll be part of that, that'll be within that 250-foot separation, but nothing itself will be within the power easement. Not that you're worried about that, but that easement will remain kind of as it is, and there's a small portion of property on the opposite side of that easement as well that will remain natural. It's a pretty tight consolidated development area for this property. But again, we'll have a community building. That's where our site manager will be located. For 60 units, that'll probably be someone that works 30 to 40 hours per week. We'll have also a separate maintenance person that will probably be a part-time person as well, but would address any of the tenant concerns, unit turnover, any type of emergency that might happen. As a company, we also have a maintenance supervisor who kind of oversees all of our properties. So he is on the road a lot, or he is coordinating teams of people a lot to answer any maintenance concerns that we might have. And also in that community building, there will be a place for the residents to use a computer to look for jobs, to check emails, to keep in touch with families. We don't tend to see that community center being used very often, but on occasion it is. We do have some folks with disabilities that might be homebound to a certain degree, or they don't get out in the community as much, so this is kind of their outlet in using that community center. And then that space can also be used for some sort of social activities. There'll be some interior space with a kitchen and kind of a living room set up. There'll be a covered porch, and all of that, the mailboxes will also be a part of that community building. But all of that can, easily see, or you can sit on the porch and watch your kids play at the playground. And in the interior of the site as well, there'll be a picnic area, a covered picnic area that'll also be handicap accessible. And the beauty of these properties is that pretty much the whole site is handicap accessible. You can leave your apartment in the most remote location and access the playground or the picnic area or the community building, you know, with regular meeting ADA compliances, all throughout the site. We will have to get permission, obviously, to connect to Camden Square Drive. It is a private drive, but since the people that own that drive are also going to be my partners in the construction side, I don't foresee that being much of an issue there. What else? What other questions might you have? I mean, I know you're somewhat familiar with communities like this in New Bern.
This is an opportunity for the board to ask the applicant any questions that might be on their mind. Brad, I would ask you, was the consideration of two different apartment complexes using Camden Drive as your access from a traffic perspective entering onto Trent Road?
It was reviewed by the Public Works Department, and they were satisfied with how it was. And yeah, that's actually an area that's currently under study by Public Works for road widening, and so they're aware of the traffic issues in that area, and they were satisfied with that access point.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I can't remember your name, but
That's
you
okay.
were very clear on what you were providing in the complex, because my first two questions were, was it ADA compliant?
Mm-hmm.
And then my second would have been the recreational space that would be offered to the residents there.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you've already answered those.
Good, good. See, I don't want there to be any kind of gray area at all, so, for you. And it's Stephanie Norris. I may have said it so fast, it just went over my head too, so, thank you.
Okay. This is the time when we would normally open the floor for public comment. I don't see any public here, so can we forego, Brad, public comment since there's no one here? Or do we need to go through
I
that
think
process?
it might be better procedurally just to open
Okay.
and close it formally.
Okay. Well, I will formally open a period of public comment about the applicant's presentation and the request for a special use permit. Seeing no public advance to the podium, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to close public comment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And at this point, we'll begin the six-step process that we talked about a little earlier. And the first step that we will have to deal with is the requested permit is within its jurisdiction according to the table of permissible uses. And if you, Stephanie, if you'd like to have anything to say about that and what you filled out on your application, feel free.
No, sir, I don't have anything to add. I feel like it was fairly straightforward with your table of permitted uses.
Okay. Any questions about item number one? The request permit is within the jurisdiction according to the table of permissible uses. If not, we will open the floor for public comment on item number one. Seeing no one approach the podium, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment period on item number one.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public comment on item number one. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number two, the application is complete. Is everyone satisfied with the completeness of the application? If no further questions, we'll open the floor to public comment on item number 2. The application is complete. Seeing no one approach the podium, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment period.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public comment period on item number 2. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3. If completed as proposed in the application, the development will comply with all the requirements of the ordinance. Stephanie, would you like to add anything in that?
No, sir, we're fairly clear about the stormwater requirements, any sort of access requirements with respect to the fire and emergency access codes. Utilities are available to the site already. Probably stormwater is the biggest question that everybody might have in addition to land disturbance, but we know there are permits that we'll have to comply with.
Okay, thank you.
The applicant's participation in the site plan review certified from a staff perspective that it complies with all the requirements of the various city codes.
Board have any questions for the applicant or for Brad about item number 3?
I do. Are there sufficient number of egresses and ingresses into the complex?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. The fire department reviewed the plans and they feel satisfied.
Any additional questions or concerns from the board? Okay. Open the floor to public comment on item number 3. Seeing no one approach the podium, I will entertain a motion to close the public comment period.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to close public comment period on item number 3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4. The use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted. Stephanie, would you like to comment?
Since there is access off of Camden Square Drive, which is not a high traffic volume access, we also feel like the majority of our residents are probably going to turn right onto Trent Road and to head toward Walmart, the closest point of Walmart. So I don't see anything that would materially endanger the public, which obviously traffic would be the biggest concern for anyone.
Okay. And Brad, you say that the departmental review addressed the traffic issue there and everybody is satisfied?
Yep, and the police department also reviewed the plans and they're satisfied as well.
Okay. Board have any additional questions or concerns they would like to address? Okay. I will now open the floor to public comment on item number 4. Seeing no one approaching the podium, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment period on item number 4.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public comment period on item number 4. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5. The use will not substantially reduce the value of adjoining or abutting property or that the use is a public necessity. Stephanie?
Yes, sir. Since the adjacent property is an apartment community, the most adjacent property is an apartment community that's very similar, no diminishing value concerns there. And the properties that are between us and Lowe's Boulevard, I think that property is fairly underdeveloped at the moment, so there should be no diminishing value there. And the existing homes that are on the property that I believe the Mays or the Lowe's live in now currently are older farmhouses. And eventually, with the development along Trent Road, I can see that eventually that might turn into a commercial development potentially as well in the future, if probably in the long distance future. The homes across Camden Square Drive were homes, and I know we're not immediately adjacent to them, but they're homes that look like they were probably built in the early 90s, perhaps, maybe late 80s. All seem occupied and very well maintained, and we would have that quality of development as well. We're going to maintain this property, and there should be no diminishing values to those homes either.
Thank you. Any questions for Stephanie or Brad concerning?
It looks like there's a vegetative buffer too between you and those houses. And this is all C4, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. I'll now open the floor for public comment. Seeing no one approach the podium, I'll entertain a motion to close public comment period on item number 5.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public comment period on item number 5. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the plan of development of the city.
We're really excited about this property and its location. It's within 1 mile of Walmart, all of the businesses that kind of accompany Walmart. It's a great opportunity not only for our residents to have a place to shop and potentially, I don't want to say walk because I don't think I could walk 1 mile with a load of groceries, but at least very close to job opportunities, childcare, schools, other types of services that anybody might need. So that's why we're really excited about this particular location. It's very, very close to all of those things. So you're going to reduce travel times on your infrastructure just generally. So.
Questions from the board?
Do you have any time frames, timelines for when you'd start?
Very good question. So we are in the middle of our application process now to the Housing Finance Agency. Our second application, which is when they typically look at all the financial structure, the development costs, the operating costs that you propose, that gets submitted Friday, May the 10th. And they usually take a couple months, maybe 3 months, to review and do their analysis again. Typically, awards are announced mid-August, late August sometime. So once that award announcement comes, then we're scrambling. We're getting engineers, surveyors engaged, architects engaged, trying to work out our lending commitments and things of that nature. So if I had to guess, we would be closing on, if we're lucky enough to get the award, we would be closing and purchasing this property, I would say probably May of next year, and starting construction in June. And it would take about 15 months to complete construction. And start moving folks in beyond that. So I've still got a ways to go, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Brad, is having a special use permit in hand part of the application process that's required by the financing?
Yeah, you have to have all of your entitlements and approvals in hand before you can be, before they will consider your application complete, and you have to have it complete by the deadline, which for them is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay, good. Any other questions from the board about item number 6? Okay. I'll now open the floor for public comment on item number 6. Seeing no one approach the podium, I'll entertain a motion to close the public comment period on item number 6.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and second to close the public comment period. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we've been through the 6 steps that we have to go through and explore the evidence and the facts associated with those 6 steps. And now we're time for the board to consider each of the 6 requirements, and we will go back through these steps and actually vote on each one of them as they come up. Okay. Item number 1, the requested permit is within its jurisdiction according to the table of permissible uses. Comments, questions from the board? Okay. We'll entertain a motion to approve or deny the approval of item number 1.
I move that we find, based on the evidence submitted, that the requested permit is within the Board of Adjustments jurisdiction.
Okay?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Trip Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 2, the application is complete. Any questions from the board about the completeness of the application? I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny item number 2.
I move that we find the application complete.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Trip Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 3, if completed as proposed in the application, the development will comply with all the requirements of this ordinance. Questions, discussion amongst the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny item number 3.
I make a motion that based on finding and facts submitted, that if completed as proposed in the application, the development will comply with all requirements of this ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the board? If not, call the roll.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Trip Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 4, the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to the plan as submitted. Comments, discussion amongst the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny item number 4.
I move that based on findings and facts, that we find that the use will not materially endanger the public health or safety.
Okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion? Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. No further discussion. Call the roll, please.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Trip Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item number 5, the use will not substantially reduce the value of adjoining or abutting property, or the use is a public necessity. Further comments, questions from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chairman, based on the findings of fact, the use will not substantially reduce the value of adjoining or abutting property.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Trip Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, number 6, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the plan of development of the city. Comments or questions from the board?
That electrical electrical lane, is that part of this property? The
Sorry?
electrical lane that you mentioned in your discussion?
Electric lane?
Easement.
The
Power
power
line
line easement.
It is an easement.
It is, as far as I understand, yes, sir, it is an easement. Just looking at the subdivision map that was prepared for the sellers, it's showing sorry, I have a small copy here. It is showing a deed of easement, although this particular subdivision plan that was recorded doesn't show the full width of the easement. It does describe it as a deed of easement onto the property.
Okay, now, is that currently maintained?
I believe so. My last check, when I visited the property in February, it appeared to be.
Okay, there's electrical lines, I assume they're high voltage or high tension lines.
They're very large lines, yes, sir.
Okay, so are there trees on that easement?
No, sir.
So it's in good condition?
Yes, sir. And there's an aerial photograph. I mean, this plan might be somewhat small, but there is an aerial photograph, so you can kind of see how the property is clear. So this one's in color. Oh, that one's too. You can see basically the footprint.
Okay, and who maintains that property, the city or the?
I would assume the owner of the electric.
I'm not sure if that line is a city line or a Duke line.
Right.
Were you given a choice in the power operations, or was it just provided?
I haven't researched it enough
Okay.
yet.
It ties into that substation that's there behind the hot dog store there on Trent Road.
The only power available on the site is City of New Bern, so that's a City of New Bern owned and maintained electric easement.
Okay, so the city would maintain that easement?
Correct, yes.
Any additional questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve or deny item number 6.
I move that we find based on facts that the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Brad, will you call the roll?
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Tripp Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. We've been through the 6 steps and reviewed the 6 requirements for the issuance of a special use permit. The next step is to approve or deny the use of the special use permit. I will entertain a motion of that sort.
I move that we issue a special use permit.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the special use permit. Any further comment or discussion or questions? Okay, please call the roll.
Dorothea White,
Yes.
Jim Morrison,
Yes.
John Merle,
Yes.
John Riggs,
Yes.
Tripp Ure,
Yes.
Richard Parsons,
Yes.
Kip Paraguay,
Yes.
Edward Bellis,
Yes.
Ross Beebe. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay. Stephanie, you have a special use permit.
I appreciate that. Thank
Okay.
you. I look forward
Sure
to those
thing.
steps, and we'll keep your staff.
Well, let me ask one more thing. That are there any conditions that the board, in reviewing the information provided to us, would like to attach to the special use permit? Were there any from the city's perspective, Brad?
Nope.
Okay, but we will not attach any conditions to the issuance of the special use permit.
Thank you so much. I'll keep you all informed of this process.
Okay, good luck with your application for the financing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Brad, for your.
Yep.
Any other issues that need to be brought before the board? Any comments from board members that we need to discuss this evening?
I move we adjourn.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. There we go. We have a motion and a second. Calling for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all for your participation this evening.